Want to beat your mates at fantasy football? I've got a little secret for you.
Fantasy Football Hub provides the artificial intelligence, recommended transfers, expert team reveals and more, all designed to help you win your mini-league.
Big beats.
If you don't win your mini-league, we'll even refund your membership. Sign up today for 50% off. Terms apply. Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, chaps. Welcome to the Green Arrow podcast from Fantasy Football Hub, roughly 24 hours before the Gameweek 1 kickoff, and it's team reveal time. My name is Fergie. Welcome back, everyone, and if you are a new watcher or listener, a very, very big welcome to you too. We hope you enjoy and can be part of our journey throughout the season. Welcome, Adam. How are you feeling? Are you calm? Are you composed? What a day we've had for transfer news.
Yeah, no, I'm relaxed about it. I've got a couple of decisions, but I think I'm there with my structure. It's just a couple of A or B options. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Always calm. You're always the calm ones, yeah, Adam. I'm here all frazzled and tired and up in the night deliberating A or B, and you just take it all in your stride. Are you still in the 5 a.m. club?
Yeah.
Really?
I was up a little
so
bit earlier than that this morning. Yeah, but I'll crash by the end of the pod. So we're getting closer to It's coming towards my bedtime.
Well, welcome, Rich. How are you feeling? A crazy week for you with your first pre-season working with the Hub. How are you finding it, and how are you doing?
Yeah, great. Has been a really amazing 3 weeks actually. Just getting all the content ready and working with the ultras and stuff. I did a Zoom call last night with some of them, and that was really, really helpful in terms of material for tonight. And it's a really incredible 24-hour period for me. I'll probably have to work till about midnight tonight. I still haven't written my team reveal for the written article for the Hub yet, Fergie, so that'll have to come after tonight's show. But I'll get it all done. Don't worry, and ready for a good show this evening. So still, like Adam, a few 50-50s to make on one or two positions, but I'm pretty much there.
Awesome, superb stuff. Before we start the pod and start our team, we're going to look at Adam's teams first. But firstly, do you want your FPL team rated for free? And do you want recommendations for improvements driven by artificial intelligence? If you do, click the top link in the description below and go to Fantasy Football Hub to get your team rated. We will be showing our current drafts and ratings in the next few minutes. If you do join for the full package as a paying member, we are so confident in our tools and AI that we are offering a staggering win your FPL mini league or your money back. And with 50% off in pre-season, there has never been a better time to join us at the Hub. Welcome everyone in the chat. Fantastic to see you all as usual. Johnny A is in. Danny Platinum asks about Kane. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about him in a little bit. Ross Johnson is in. Says, just watch the 3-for-1. I reckon see more in Fergie today than his missus. Lucky you, Ross. Ron is in. Jordan. Josh Hall says, first time joining live for the new season. Can't wait. Mark Gordon. Picture the scene is in. Mahomey. Brandon. I'm 1974. Says, who spaffs their Gameweek 1 wildcard? Zoran is in. Lewis. Picture... Keith Hill has Salah FOMO. We definitely have to talk about Salah as well. Nuno, Vicky, Geo Boys, so many people in. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Firstly, we're just going to have a chat very briefly. I'm going to have to pause 1 second, believe it or not. Apologies for this. I do have a technical issue. I'm just going to have to pause the pod. Just for a couple of minutes. We will be right back. I promise. We won't be long.
Is it just a slide, Fergie, or is it?
We're back. We are back. we. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, last gasp transfers. Picture the scene says Fergie, massive fart time. Brain fart is what that was. Apologies for all that, guys. Last gasp transfers anyway. Let's get into it. There are some transfers in. There's some goalkeeper transfers happening, which could potentially affect what we do. And obviously, the massive news was Kane and Richarlison. There's also Guardiola as well, but Turner has now signed for Forest from Arsenal. He's a 4 million keeper. It looks like he could be the starting keeper. He will probably go on everyone's bench, I'm guessing. Have either of you guys got any thoughts on him, aside from maybe putting him second on your bench? Have either of you thought about kind of starting 4 million keepers or anything like that? Any
just
thoughts?
as long as they haven't, as long as they change him from an Arsenal player to a
they've done
Forest player by the deadline. Have they done it now?
Yeah, it's done. He's in my team.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, he's obviously coming in because he's a playing 4.0, and we haven't heard anything about Areola, have we? So no, he's in.
What about Sanchez? So he has gone to Chelsea. I didn't realise this morning he's actually signed for Chelsea. He's actually signed. And Kepa, there was news a few hours ago that it looks like he's probably off, maybe to Bayern. Sanchez at 4.5, you could have a Chelsea starting keeper, and he's a bloody good one as well at that. What are your thoughts on Sanchez? Could you risk starting with him, or would you maybe leave him, or any thoughts on him?
Nah, I'd leave him, and I'll elaborate when I go through my goalkeeper selection in a minute as to why. But I think the big reason is that I think you've got players with higher upside outfield. So if we were looking at the Chelsea defence, I think you've got Chilwell, Reece James. You could have Jackson could have a great start to the season. Raheem Sterling could have a great start to the season. I think they've all got higher upside. So for me, got zero interest in Sanchez at the moment. It could be a nice wildcard option when we know more, but we don't know really how Chelsea will be defensively, and they've not got the best opening fixture either.
What's your thoughts, Rich? Any interest as a Chelsea fan?
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I didn't know about the Kepa rumor. Still, you've mentioned it, so that's escaped me, that piece of news. But I think for the same reason, and you've also got Levi Colwill at the same price, 4.5, so you can get into the Chelsea defence for 4.5 million anyway. But yeah, if he is going to be number one, he's not a bad pick. If you don't fancy, one of the 5.0 options, I certainly prefer him to Pickford. So I'll think about it, Fergie. Yeah, I think he definitely justifies being on the slide there. But maybe not for me. I'm not panicking into getting him.
And the big news, obviously, was Spurs have accepted a bid from Bayern for Harry Kane. Apparently, it's up to him. Seen conflicting reports. I think the latest I've seen is he might be more keen on staying, but we don't know where all all this is coming from, right? But my first thought obviously was Richarlison coming in as a 7 million mid. Now obviously we've got another 25 hours until the deadline. If Kane does confirm as leaving, would Richarlison definitely be in your team? Maybe be in your team or not be in your team? Can I ask Adam that first?
Likely not, and I don't want to ruin my team because otherwise, but again, I'll answer that question a little bit later on.
Okay.
But likely not regardless.
And how about you, Rich? What's your thoughts on Richarlison if Kane confirms he's leaving tomorrow?
I don't think I'd go straight for Richarlison. I think I prefer Maddison for 500,000 more. It's one of the reasons. But obviously Maddison's appeal without Kane is, perhaps questionable. So I mean, again, we're just hearing so many conflicting reports at the moment. Sky have been reporting all afternoon that he's more likely to stay than go. Yeah. So it's a bit weird. Something's going on, because why would you agree, say a fee's been agreed, and then
just for him to say no,
then the player doesn't want to move. So yeah, it's all weird. I think therefore it's whatever it is, Tottenham almost like become a wait and see, because you just don't know what it's going to look like after the weekend. And they've only got an away game to Brentford. It's not like they're home to Luton or anything. So yeah, I would I would wait and see what happens there.
I just realised that our YouTube host Redditor, it's probably the first stream live he's watched this for a while, and he had to see me bugger that right up there, which is a bit of a shame. But welcome Redditor. And someone said this never happens on Black Box. Oh wait, it does. But yeah, apologies. Or hopefully it does now. And finally, just wanted to touch on Gvardiol. He's coming at 5 million, which is very, very cheap. You know, he's for his price. He's certainly not going to sit on the bench. They clearly brought him in to play a massive part in this team. I kind of, are you guys thinking about him ahead of Stones? You know, who's really popular, or Diaz, or anyone else? Rich, can I ask you first?
Yeah, he's a nice option. Obviously, we can't guarantee there's going to be team leaks tomorrow evening. You know, confirming the Man City lineup. But if you are fortunate enough to still be sat at your keyboard in that last hour, and we hear he's starting, that extra bench security for a more affordable 5 million, because I think, you know, having Stones and Chilwell just stretches the budget quite a bit. So you've seen people moving away from that a little bit in recent days, but they could probably stretch to Chilwell on a 5. So I think he, you know, and also you can just bench him for the first week. So, you know, that's quite a nice option. And yeah, he's definitely been considered by me.
I1974 says Kane clearly prefers pie and mash to sausage and sauerkraut. That is the reason why he is staying in London. But thank you. Let's get straight into our teams then. And Adam, we've got yours first. We've got your keeper and your bench up. Do you want to talk us through your keeper option?
Yeah, I should clarify it is Turner. I know when I sent it to you.
Yeah, no, a lot has changed in the last hour, haven't it, or two? Really?
Yeah, so at the moment, I've got, so with goalkeepers, I want to spend the minimum amount possible, or reasonable. I don't think there's really two 4.0s, but I'm comfortable spending 8.5 in total. And I think Matt Turner going to Forest really enables that. So for me, there's two very good rotations with Matt Turner, and that's Pickford and Johnston. And I think both have got their merits. I think, if I'm correct with this, if you just look at the first 6 fixtures, they've got identical fixtures. So if I break this down, both Everton and Palace have got. I think it works out that you have Sheffield United twice, home and away, Wolves at home, Burnley at home, Fulham at home, and Brentford away, whichever way you go. So it's a tough one. And then if you carry on a little bit to go up to 8 fixtures, you get Luton and Bournemouth at home with Pickford, or Brentford at home and Forest at home for Johnson. So it's a real tough one. And this is probably the biggest dilemma, because originally I was on Onana for the bonus points, etc. But I think that 0.5 for me could be really useful, because I just want the attacking players. And I think 3 of United's first 5 they concede anyway. So yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm going for a 4.5 million keeper. At the moment, I'm on Pickford only because of Forest is still in for Henderson. And I think when the rotation, I can play Pickford more. And I know what people are saying, but Everton are good at home. And we've got to remember last season, they kept a clean sheet against Arsenal. I don't think they've conceded a goal in pre-season. I read the other day. I don't, and they're not going to score many goals. So the only way they're going to win matches is by keeping clean sheets. So but then I think Johnston was really good under Hodgson at the end of last season. Yeah. Palace's XGC is better than Everton's. So I don't have a strong enough argument either way. It's a very, very close call. So at the moment, I've put Pickford in just because I think he fixture-wise slightly edges it, but I think it's a close call between the two. What do you be interested to hear both your thoughts on Pickford versus Johnston, and if you've got a preference there, or if there's another 4.5 that you prefer that might go in nicely.
The only other 4.5, well, there's a couple in there. Flecken, I still think is good. I was listening to Planet FPL pods this week, and the reason Brentford went for Flecken is because statistically he is like a carbon copy of Raya, so they're not going to bring him in and not play him, and that was the reason why they went for Flecken, and the correspondent was really confident. No, we haven't had the best pre-season, but it's brand new for him, friendly pre-season. He's going to be number 1, he reckons, and he's going to be absolutely fine. So there's one. I can't remember the other one I had. I'm pretty much with you, Ad. I got to be honest. It's not a position I've kind of enjoyed. I don't think there's any real standout option. Is mine. So I don't think you go far wrong if you go for Flecken, Pickford, or Johnson. Personally, what about you, Rich?
I've obviously looked at this quite extensively, and I would say probably 60% of the game seems to be going for a 4.5 million keeper. So it's clearly a popular decision, but I just don't really like any of them. I've never liked Everton for fantasy football. I just think they just don't win it. They don't win enough matches. They don't win enough matches. So it's a toughie. I think of the two, I'd probably go Johnston just because of my anti-Everton feeling. At least they do keep a lot of clean sheets, and under Roy Hodgson they're quite good at home as well. But again, I'd rather have a keeper from a better team than Everton or Palace, and even Brentford. They didn't have a good pre-season. We don't know how good they're going to be. None of them are really sort of standing out as being a real star. So I'm still, I know we're not talking about my team, but I'm still on another option.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's enough goalkeeper chat as well, innit? It's pretty
yeah.
broad.
The
only other one to maybe stick say is Steele. He is top of the Hub AI for 4.5s on predictions, but because the majority of us probably going for Estepinian, don't kind of really want to double it. If you're not going for Estepinian, I think Steele's a good pick. Let's move on to your defence and midfield, Adam. Do you want to talk us through it?
Oh yeah, did you want me to mention the rest of it? Let me just touch on the rest of my
your bench.
The players don't matter too much at this stage because I've gone for a very minimalistic bench. So at the moment, I think I don't know what I've put in the thing, but I can tell you that I've got Kabori, Baldock, and Mubama at the moment. That could change to Archer if he moves to Sheffield United. I think it's slightly different in my team.
That's just proves how much you've tweaked. You sent me this 2 hours ago, and 3 of your 4 benches have changed.
I take no notice on because it's such a it's not going to do anything for me bench.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter in my team. They're all at exactly the same value. So yeah, my thought process is I want as much money in my starting 11, and it's about flexibility. So I just think even if I had like a 4.5 million defender on the bench or went an extra and a goalkeeper, if I want to react, let's say Richarlison is the big thing, or it's going to be in those midfield spots. I think where the action's going to happen, or possibly one of the forward spots. So I want to be able to react quickly to the exciting players. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit risky. I might only get 1 or 2 points if needed, but I'm not too worried about that. I'd rather have the more exciting players. So that's my thought process there.
Okay, let's look at your defence and midfield. Defence first.
Okay, so I talked about the 2 benches, which would be Baldock and Kabore, but my 3 defenders are fairly boring and template. Peloton, sorry. Fairly want to stick with the Peloton. Gabriel, I've always had a soft spot for Gabriel because I think I owned him a couple of seasons back when few people did, and he got me quite a few goals from corners. So and comparing him, whilst Saliba makes Arsenal a better team, I just think his goal threat from corners he's statistically better, and it always looks great. He just always looks like he's going to get a chance. So happy to have Gabriel, and I think from a defensive point of view, an Arsenal defender, they're cheap enough. Really, really good value. Yeah. Estupinan, very attacking. I know people have talked about benching him and taking him out, but you got to remember, when did he get his biggest haul? Arsenal away.
Arsenal, 3-0.
Yeah, I think he's playable in every single game, and I'm happy to play him in every single game. Definitely the first 6. I'm not going to worry too much about transferring him in or transfer it from now because he could easily get an attacking return. And I think by messing around with him, that's where you'll miss the variance. And likewise with Chilwell, on set pieces, he's a player I really like anyway. And
what set pieces is he on, Adam?
Well, I think he was taking some corners, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw in pre-season it was his corner that Thiago Silva headed in. But you're making me question that now. But I'm pretty sure it is.
I hadn't realised, if I'm being honest.
But I think I do really like Chilwell, and I think by having him in now, I'm going to want Chelsea defence from game week 2-3 onwards. And I don't think Man City's fixtures. I think they'll get a clean sheet at Burnley. I don't think the Newcastle at home is a foregone conclusion. Yeah. So I'm happy just to, rather than using up an extra 1.5 million, 1 million, and upgrading one of my defenders to rotate with Baldock, or to replace Baldock or Kabore, and maybe have, like, say, Stones and Chilwell rotating. I just would rather just play Chilwell because he's capable of scoring in any match.
Redditor has just confirmed as well that Chilwell has been on all corners in pre-season.
Yeah,
that's when I realised, actually. That's massive.
Well, it was when I thought he was, but when you said that, I was like, oh, hang on a sec. Maybe I've got it completely wrong. But I think Reece James is an option as well. And so there's been some talks. I think they're captain and vice captain. There's been some talks about Reece James possibly being on penalties as well. So I've sort of got my eye as well, potentially with my transfers, to possibly go for the double up in game week 3.
Wowzers.
Because I think that's more exciting than having Sanchez. So yeah, I thought for that reason I want to start with one, because it makes it quicker to get to 2 or 3 rather than not when starting with Man City. I think, like Rich, doing a lot of these ultra team reviews, I've seen a lot of people go for Stones, and I don't dislike Stones. But the reason I've not gone Man City defence is they play on Wednesday in the Super Cup against Sevilla. And if you look at the options they've got available, they've got Stones, Ake, Akanji, Diaz, Walker, Laporte I don't think's gone yet. Garvidal, who's signed today. They can play Rico Lewis. I just think they've got too many options, and I think it's just too risky with them all being fit. I think, is it Garvidal's the left footer, isn't he? Yeah. So maybe he's only competing with Ake, but he's still competing. And and actually, to be fair to Akanji, I thought he did okay in the Community Shield, playing as an out and out left back. So there's just got too many options. So why guess it when you and particularly when I've got a threadbare bench, it's just not worth the risk. So I'm comfortable going without City. The one defence I'm not as comfortable going without is United, but I'm taking the gamble that by focusing further forward, it will give me a bit of an advantage, because I think my keepers rotate okay and will get will get through it. But defenders are fine, particularly for the first 6. I think they're okay. So I can really focus my transfers on those midfield spots.
Interesting.
And I've got I reckon I've got slightly more than most people dedicated to that spot. So,
talking to midfield, Adam, do you want to talk us through yours?
Yeah. So there's 2 no-brainers, which are Saka and Rashford. Easy decisions. I think I've sort of the next 3 spots have been really difficult, so I've done it by process of elimination. The other one that I really like is Maddison, and I just think he's a fun pick because I can't decide which 6.5 I like, and because I think it's a coin toss. There's pros and cons to all of them. I've got my doubts about how Brentford will perform. I think Eze will be great, but I don't think Palace will score loads. But Thomas are going to be a minute's risk. And I think he'll be a transfer out at some point. And I just love the way Spurs are playing at the moment. And I think irrespective whether Kane stays or goes, I think Maddison's just a fun pick. We know what he's like from Leicester. He was one of the best players in the game. Yeah. And actually, he's gone to a better team. And I think he was 8 million last year, or he was a little bit possibly more expensive last year. So for me, absolute. I think he's not as many people have gone for him. And yes, I think I'm gonna that'll be where where I start, unless the Kane thing does change it slightly, but I think at the moment, as things stand, I'm sticking with him.
I personally, I don't think that the Kane thing will affect Maddison that much. I think it could.
No,
I think
true.
it could affect him from a potential assist view, but I also think that he could score more goals because
Yeah, true.
Richarlison won't be as much of a focal point as Kane potentially. Maddison may, make more runs himself, have more shots himself. But
I just think Spurs are playing so well and having that many shots. I just want him in my team, and he's the one out of I don't feel strongly enough about the 6.5s. Whereas
it's a
Maddison,
fair shout.
I'm excited by.
Yeah.
And actually, the Turner move made it possible because the big debate then was my other two midfielders. Who do I not go for? Because when funds were tight, I don't know, I was on Onana originally. Who do I not go for? Bruno or Martinelli? And that's basically minutes and penalties versus the explosiveness and great opening fixtures of Martinelli. So I can have them both. Go on.
Oh no, you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Power five, isn't it? It's a power five, Adam.
I get the double Man City. Sorry, double United and double double Arsenal, and it's quite good because from Bruno I could go to Richarlison and still going to have money in the bank, even if I'm cut. The other reason for going for Maddison over Richarlison is if I go for Richarlison and Maddison's the option and he rises by 0.1, I can't get him. So, or I'm going to have to sell Bruno before a great fit. So I just think it's, for me, he's had a good pre-season. I think that's the good option. And similarly, if I went for a 6.5 and had $1 million in the bank, if Maddison does great, I can't get to him. But if it doesn't work out, it's very easy for me to move to any of the 6.5s. So flexibility is really important. I accept I'm losing a little bit in the goalkeeper, but I can get 0.4 points less than Rich, assuming he's going through, I think he's going, if he's going for a 5 million keeper, because that's roughly what it works out per week, I think. So I don't need to match him. I just need to get about three quarters of the points. And I actually hope that where my other $500,000 spent, I'll get even more. So that's the thought process. And it just means that pretty much any midfielder in the 6.5 to, I won't say to 8.5 because I don't have that category. I can get any of them and I can do it in one move. So like if Sterling looks good, it's not going to be a problem. Whereas there's going to be people who've got that 6.5 slot and I might have the decision, I've got to get rid of Sterling before, I've got to get rid of Bruno before Forest at home. So I'm really talking myself because I had doubts about this midfield, but now I'm talking through it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what did I have doubts about?
You're talking me into it as well.
Pretty good.
I want to change my team.
Pretty
now.
good, mate.
I feel I did this the first time I've said it out loud, and I thought because I was just struggling with that 6.5 spot, and it's easier to go down from Maddison, and I can go anywhere. So that's a thought process there. Any questions at all?
No, I really like the midfield. I just think it probably feels a bit template because the two Arsenal and two United have been being discussed for the last 3 weeks as being obvious ways to go because of the fixtures. And it's just, it hasn't changed. We've gone through iterations of people saying, oh, look, it's easier to get Salah in now if you have a couple of 6.5s in there and maybe drop one of the Arsenal boys or one of the United boys. But yeah, it originally became the template, those 4 players, for a reason. Now, Maddison is the kind of variable luxury pick. Foden, we hear Foden starting tomorrow night. He might come back into a few teams late, but that 7.5 price point is nice because you can go down to a 6.5 or you can go up to an 8 quite easily from there. And it's about, what did we say last week? It's fantasy football is about enjoying yourself and buying players that you like to watch when they're playing football, and Maddison ticks those boxes. He's involved in everything, and basically, I think you'll see he's featuring in other teams tonight. So love it, Adam.
I think Spurs are going to be fun to watch as well. I really do. The only one of that midfield that I had doubts about earlier in the week was Bruno, and historically, I've let confirmation bias really impact me. I've had it with Salah before, where I see probably too much about him playing deep. The reality is, he's playing deeper, he will tick along on points. He's still got some set pieces. He'll be on penalties. He's only a return away from bonus. And do you know what? The start, for me, it isn't about, I am going to make mistakes in my selection. So the more proven players I pick, the better. It's about giving me options to get away. And the good thing about Bruno is you can pretty much go to most midfielders. And in actually, it might be that if he's not working out, let's say Sterling, for example, or a Richarlison, are really, you've then got money in the bank as well to make further upgrades. So whilst I sort of agree that he might not be as good as he was previously, I think with the fixtures he's got, and we've seen how attacking Spurs are, I think there'll be options the other way. I think he's just worth going for.
Yeah. Have you considered Salah at all?
Do you know what? So there is a way of getting Salah into this team, and it basically comes down to the difference of 3 players. And I think I've seen a few people putting it on Twitter and other things, but it comes down to whether you go Salah, João Pedro, and let's say Matoma or a 6.5, doesn't matter where the 6.5 is, versus Bruno, Martinelli, and Watkins. The problem is, I think Salah's an incredible pick, but I don't think I'll have the balls to captain him game week 2 going against Haaland. So that
really, that's interesting.
I don't think I would. I don't see why I would give myself that dilemma. That's probably how easy is game week 2 if you haven't got anything. Whereas if you can go into, all you're going to be thinking about, do I go Haaland, do I go Salah, do I go Haaland, do I go Salah? Oh, actually, I've got Salah, so actually, I probably should go for him. And
you should. If there's no reason to have him unless you're going to.
Exactly. Exactly. But you've got that whole battle, and actually, so I just and therefore the other 2 players, João Pedro and Matoma or whoever. If you look at it, you've got Bruno, Eze, and Watkins all proven and consistent. And I think when you break it down, if you don't captain Salah, which realistically you'd only captain him maybe 1 out of the first 6 or 7 game weeks, you want your players to return about 0.7, roughly 0.75 of what their value is. So if you're not captaining them, that is. So if so Salah, you're looking at him getting 9 points a game. Now he can do that over a short spell, absolutely, but it's a lot of pressure on him. Whereas Watkins, it's maybe 5 or 6 points a game, and the same for the others. So I just think for me, it's the safer option. And plus, I'm comfortable captaining Haaland. And actually, did you say comfortable captain Haaland? I think we've got 2 very other good captains in my team in terms of Rashford and Xhaka. I think they've got actually that would be so. And you could even, if you're brave enough, go for Watkins in game week 2. So I really fancy Villa against Everton. So yeah, I just don't see. And I think the other thing as well is that in game week 3, the players that we've just mentioned, the sort of the 8 million or 8 million-ish players, have all got great fixtures as well. So I'd rather have double United attack and double Arsenal attack, because you're getting those 2 great fixtures for both of them, versus Salah, you're getting the 1. We don't know what Chelsea are going to be like.
Naturally.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
you're in the no, firmly in the no Salah camp. Then,
but I am based on what I've said, but I can see the argument for going for Salah, and I think it depends on this is where it really depends on you as a fantasy manager. There'll be some players that absolutely love Salah that really want to captain him in game week 2. Go for it. I can't put you off him. He's a great player. I just think for me, I want those double United and double Arsenal fixtures in 1 and 3. I value that more than that 1. And I don't think Bournemouth are going to be as bad as people think. I really don't. I think they could be one of the surprise
What are the chances
teams
of the history repeating in that result? Right, 9-0.
Oh, it won't be 9-0. It won't be 9-0.
It's not going to be 9-0, 9-0, is it? It's
no.
Not,
I mean, 9-0 and no Salah returns would be brilliant again. But I don't see that. So I think I'm comfortable without Salah. I've made my peace with that, and I think both you've got. Yeah. So I'm not going to go for Salah, but the alternative is what I said, and I think it's very, very viable. If people want Salah, that's a good route to go. So I won't put people off, but he's not going to be in my team at the moment. Unless Haaland gets injured, then we'll have to rethink everything.
So Evan's got Haaland. You've got another forward, and the first thing that strikes me is you haven't got any Brighton players in your front seven. So do you want to tell us your thinking?
Yeah. You can't have everybody. That's the first thing. And I could go João Pedro, but the thing I know about Watkins is that he's going to play 90 minutes. We're even talking of letting Archer go, which makes him even more nailed if he can be. And we're going to have more added time. There was a brilliant podcast, probably one of the best to listen to all summer, which was FML, one of the fireside ones, with Michael Cayley, and he's a statistician. I think he used to do a lot of baseball data. And they talked about Watkins. And the conclusion really is he's a solid 1 in 2 man. His data just points to that consistently. So if he's going to get slightly more minutes, I'd take 1 in 2 for Watkins all day long, because there's probably going to be bonus points in there as well. He's capable of scoring against anybody. I mean, you'd prefer kind of fixtures, but he's capable of scoring against anyone. But I think he'll be the talisman. He's looked so sharp pre-season. He's probably a player I would want to stay away from penalties, if I'm being honest. So if anybody puts Watkins plus pens as a positive, it isn't a positive at all. It's probably more likely to be a -2 than a +4 in that case. So that's the reason for Watkins. In terms of not going for Brighton, it's tough. It's just, I think firstly, I think they've had a lot of changes to their team, particularly in the midfield positions. So Casido's not going to start, is he? So they've made a few changes across the team. So I'm not sure. I think they'll start well, but it's just who gets the points. I think João Pedro he's not. I don't see him playing 90. I don't see Matoma may or may not play 90, but I just think there's so many good options. I think Brighton will score goals and do well, but the other players I've picked instead. So I've picked Maddison instead, and I think Spurs are a better attacking unit than. I think they're going to be more predictable where their points will come from, and I prefer Maddison to Matoma. That's just, I think if I just break it down, fixtures, Matoma edges it, but Maddison's better on minutes, in my opinion. He's going to have some set pieces. He's going to be assisting if Kane stays, one of the most reliable finishers. But if not, possibly gets more goals. And it's a really attacking Spurs side that are really ramping up the shots in pre-season. So it's a gamble. I accept that. And so I think it's more on the individual players that I've looked at rather than team. I think Brighton will do well and score goals, but it's just difficult. If you looked at their goals pre-season, they were spread as anything. So
one thing I noticed about your team is pretty much everybody in it, with maybe the exception of Martinelli, is absolutely nailed. I mean, it's rock safe for starts, isn't it? It's like, Martinelli's very, very likely to start the first game, even if there are, competitions for his place and his minutes might be limited in the second half of games. But it's just, you can just set and forget that team. If I was going to sort of pick it apart a bit, I'm not feeling the Watkins. I wanted to get into you about Watkins because it's 3 aways in 4. Remember we said about the fixtures, and they start with 3 away games. Now, I don't know how you rate those away games, but that just puts me off a team because I can have a player who's got 3 home games in 4 instead, or teams, that have picked mainly from teams that have 3 home games. So that to me just sort of says, Watkins certainly isn't the essential pick here.
It's not essential. It's not essential. Yeah. I think on Watkins, I don't think that there's a perfect answer here, unfortunately, on the strikers. But when I break it down, he's consistently 1 in 2. He will have more minutes than João Pedro, who's another option that people are considering. Visa, who at Brentford people have considered. I don't trust Brentford, so I'd rule that one out. You got Nicholas Jackson, who I just don't know what to expect from Chelsea, particularly the attack. So I'm happy to wait a couple of weeks. I accept your point on 3 away games, but then to balance that up, Watkins scored in like 5 or 6 away games in a row. I think it was 5 away games in a row last season. So it's not I'm not too worried. And two of the first three, which is what I'm really looking at here, he's got Burnley, a promoted side, and Everton at home. And Newcastle, he scored. Admittedly, none of them were at St James's Park, so that is, I accept that. But he got 2 and an assist in the last time he played them, and he actually scored in pre-season against them. And
they walloped Newcastle, didn't they?
Yeah. So I just and the other factor, and you've got this is quite a big factor for me, is if there is a popular, and this is where the only time biases do come in, and I will admit it. If there's a relatively popular Villa player, I find it hard not to go for them because I watch every minute of every game, and having any bias where you're like, and you can't get away from it. We're going to be watching it, my son, and when I'm watching the games, I want Watkins to really, really go off. So there is that fan perspective, but I think I can even take that out and say that the arguments I've made, the only downside to Watkins is the fixtures, but we've got a better Villa team this year than we had last year. If you look at the signings, Tielemans has been unreal in pre-season. Now, whether he'll start, I don't know. Diaby will be an extra foil for Watkins, and he'll actually a lot of people are saying, will he take some of his goals and assists? I think he gives him more space. Personally, so I think I just think he's someone I can't not go for, and I think in the first 6 games he's good for 3 goals now, which I can't say really confidently about any other striker other than the obvious.
Yep, all really good arguments there, Adam. A lot of talk in the chat around Diaby. They really, really like him, so I'm sure he'll be coming into a conversation soon. Your team rating is 96%, which is a pretty good start. You predicted 66.4 points. If anyone watching wants to get their team rated, just click on I think it's the second link down, get your team rated for free. Also, if you're a paying member, you can get suggested AI transfers. Adam, on your ones, it does prefer Stones over Chilwell for the starting 5 games. It prefers Maddison down to Matoma, which then upgrades Martinelli to Odegaard. In Hubai's opinion, obviously he's looking at minutes and bits and pieces there. So interesting stuff there. Just things to think about, maybe.
Yeah, I've thought about him. I'm not interested.
Not interested. No. Okay,
I just no. I'm joking. I do really like the hub expected points and the points predictor. But I think it's most unreliable in game week 1 because we've got zero data from this season. So
those lines are very, very closely intertwined.
They're really close. And this is the thing. It's just trying to get that 96% up to like 97 or 98. But it's
exactly.
Just the reason I love this feature, it just gives you something to think about. It's that's all that Chilwell and Stones. You can see that it clearly favours Stones to score better in game week 1 and 2, and then also in 4 and 5, just actually. So I do like the look of it. It's good. Rich, let's move on to your team. We've got your keeper up and we've got your bench up. Do you want to talk us through those?
Yes, okay. Slightly different to Adam's picks. Makes for a better conversation, I think, at least if we have something different in our teams. So I've gone for Onana. I've been on Onana pretty much since he entered the game. I said earlier that I wasn't that keen on any of the 4.5 options just because I think they play for, middle of the road teams. And I think it's worth it. I think the stats point to, a lot of distribution, a lot of BPS points will come his way. I've heard counter arguments say that, United will win a lot of games 3 or 4-0, in which case the bonus will shift upfield. But actually, we don't know that. If they grind out some 1-0 wins and there's a few 0-0s, then he is likely to feature in the bonus. So I just think a set and forget keeper for me on Onana. Turner coming along to provide some backup in case there's a bit of rotation around European games for United. That's perfect. Happy to spend 9 million on the pair. And go with that. I know he's a popular pick, but I quite like it that the game is split on the keepers. Actually, it makes for a little bit of difference between teams for the early weeks. So just looking at my bench.
Sorry, just quickly, will you start Turner in any of the matches?
Do you know, I haven't even really looked in case. I mean, if Forest have got a home game, and United are away to City or United are away to Arsenal, then I
Game week 2 away to Spurs
yeah.
versus home to Sheffield United for
Yeah,
Turner.
I'll consider it. I'll have a look at the first games first, see how they look. Yeah.
Superb.
I'll have a look.
And your bench, Rich?
On the bench, yeah, I've thrown VIOLIN for a fourth defender option at 5 million, and you'll see why I can do that when you see the rest of the team. That's a bit punty, because if we get a team leak tomorrow night that he just comes straight into the side and starts, why not just throw him into the team to begin with? They spent 90 million on him. Is that what they spent on him? And I think I heard a comment from someone in the community that said, someone who's Croatian, I think he's Croatian, is he? Someone said, you've never seen a defender like this guy. I mean, they might be a bit partisan, but he is he's supposed to be hot stuff. So I think for 5 million, and to have that City defensive cover, he's more interesting than Botman and the 4.5 options. So he's in for this draft. By no means nailed, but that's almost like a team news dependent pick there. I've gone for Baldock as the 4.0. Again, could be any, could be Bayer, could be who's the Luton guy everyone's picking. Not Bell, the other one, wing back.
Kabali.
Yeah. So
Kabore, it's Kabore, not Kabale.
Yeah, I'll have a look at some of the stats, but I just think Baldock, because he's more established probably in the team as a backup. And at the moment, I've got Obama from West Ham, just because they've got a dearth of strikers, and he has been getting quite a lot of minutes. Scored 3 goals in pre-season. Could feature for the odd point if it ever comes to the third bencher. So yeah, the bench is pretty slim pickings, but stronger than some.
I love that Gavardo on the bench.
12 man.
I think I do, because I think he's going to be, I would say, in everyone's team, but I think he's going to be very, very popular in a couple of weeks when everyone realizes, one, how good he is, two, how cheap he is, and people are going to have Stones, and Stones isn't a bad pick by any stretch, but there's immediate $500,000 save in there. It could enable you to get to Chilwell, all these kind of more exciting picks than Stones. So I really like that, Rich. I might even pinch it.
All right.
Anyway,
fair enough. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the chat thinks of Guardiola as an option. It is risky, and Adam summarised, if they're all fit, they've got about 9 or 10 defenders to pick each side from, and I'd forgotten about that European game, Super Cup game midweek. Yeah. So they may well rotate across the 3 games there. So interesting.
You want to talk us through your defensive midfield, Rich?
Yeah, very, very template, very peloton-like defense of Estupiñán, Gabriel, and Chilwell. That hasn't really changed for me for some time. I've got no problem at all playing Ben Chilwell against Liverpool.
No, I think he could do damage.
Absolutely fine. You don't want to be being a bit of a clever clogs and having him on your bench and thinking, oh, it's Liverpool will score, but then he goes and gets a 15-pointer and you haven't got those points. I just think, just play Chilwell from the start in the home game. So the defense is quite easy. I like the value across those 3. I haven't really thought about Trent for some time, again, because of the amount of of unbalancing it does with the team. I've got a slightly different midfield to Adam, but it's
just on defense. I've got a question for you. So if you I think you should start Chilwell, but if you start in Chilwell this week, and then we know Chilwell's fixtures are good, Estupiñán's got decent fixtures, Gabriel, have you looked at how Gvardiol rotates with them and when you would be comfortable starting him versus, because otherwise it could be one with a 5 million City bench. I think the player himself could be great. So that's albeit there's a lot of options, but I think he will be the one that will emerge. But having him on the bench when he's not even guaranteed to start, it just could be risky. I think it's probably worth looking at the rotation. Because Estupiñán's got like Man United away in one of the weeks. Gabriel's got a couple of tougher fixtures, Man United at home. So there could be options of when to rotate it. But I think that's worth considering, because if you're not going to play him, it might be better to reduce him down to a 4.5 and just have the money for a rainy day. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. No, I will. I'll have a look at it in some detail. And there is always the argument, if you've got that sort of set and forget back three, just do exactly that. Don't give yourself that bench headache and think, oh, I've got to try and get those City clean sheets and so on. So I think maybe he's there just for a bit of insurance, because you'll see what I've done with my forwards in a minute, and he's just there for that little bit of extra insurance. But so at the moment I've gone for same four of Adam's five, with Rashford, Bruno, Saka, and Maddison. The player I haven't got in there at the moment is Martinelli. He was in my draft earlier today. I took him out for Maddison, mainly to sort of not save 0.5 million, just because I think I prefer Maddison over Martinelli slightly for minutes and early season prospects. Both great picks, but I think Maddison is a not a luxury pick, you know what I mean, but one of those picks that makes you feel good about your fantasy team. So
it's exciting.
So that's why he's in for me. And Mitoma is in for me because I want to attack Brighton's first three fixtures. Simple good. As I just feel they are so good. They're so good at. I mean, I've never really been an XG preacher, but I think when you look at it, Brighton put up more than 2 XG per game consistently, and I think they're going to do the same certainly in those opening 2-3 fixtures. So I just think that Mitoma is probably the least threatened in terms of starts across the attack, and so he's in. He's in. Well, God, he's over 40% of teams still, isn't he? He is the number one pick of the 6.5s from an ownership perspective. And so I'm going to throw him in over Eze and Mbomo at the moment.
And then you're not going for. You say Brighton's fixtures are good, which they absolutely are, but you're not going for a third Arsenal player. Or
this team doesn't have three. This team doesn't have 3 Arsenal in it at the moment. So I mean, I could swap Guardiola out for Saliba if I wanted to have that extra insurance and have the 2 Arsenal defenders, because I've now got space for that. So you could go, but then you'd say, well, why aren't you doubling up against Forest and in the first game? That's the best fixture you've got the season, and you've got an Arsenal defender on your bench. So there's no real sort of easy solution there in terms of having it. Yeah, so it is. I could well put Martinelli back in before tomorrow night. Just because that, as you say, it's 2 great fixtures in the first 3 at home. So Martinelli's a good pick. Maddison's a good pick. Adam's got both of them in his team. I may well go back to having both of them in mine.
And your forwards, Rich?
Well, my forwards, this is where I've gone for a bit of a slim forward line. I'm backing the João Pedro train. Strongly like him as a pick to begin the season. Really like the amount of cash that it leaves me with in the bank. This team, I think, has got 2.5 million left in the bank, so I could.
You can do anything.
Spend that immediately, and bring in a third striker. I could bring in Nicholas Jackson for 7 million instead of Mubama and have nothing in the bank. Or I could wait till game week 3 and do that. Or I can squeeze it a little bit harder and get Salah in for Bruno, by downgrading to another 6.5 in midfield. So there's lots of ways I can go. I'm not too worried about being trapped by João Pedro. Obviously, there's a chance he starts on the bench and he comes on and gets 1 point and underwhelms, and then I've only got Haaland. But at the moment, I'm strongly backing. Where 3 Brighton, I think, for the first 3 games is good and is threatening, and so I'm just going to go for it there with them.
You're so close to getting Salah in your team, I think. Because you've got Mitoma, you've got João Pedro. You've got, was it 2.5 in the bank? So effectively, it's Bruno and Maddison. I think this is right. I think you might need a downgrade in defence, but
you could downgrade Onana and Gvardiol to 4.5s, and then you're not far off at all.
And then it'll be Bruno and Maddison to Salah and a 6.5.
Yeah, so I do Eze and Mbomo,
yeah, which I don't dislike. I think it's a good team. It's a good. I
think João Pedro is really the enabler for the Salah team, and I think if you do want Salah, he absolutely should be a second striker. But I still can't quite convince myself that it's not better to spread the funds around, or have that extra financial flexibility to change it. I mean, I could go up to Trent next week or something off Chilwell or something like that. There's lots of different ways you can go. Chilwell will probably get injured in the first game, so then you can bring Trent in. So there's lots of ways you can go with it, and I certainly don't mind having. I've never had that much cash in the bank before though, so I'll probably spaff it, Fergie.
I'm just laughing.
Before the deadline.
FPL Black Box in the chat. Rich is going Salah by 3 a.m. He knows. Probably about 250.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, if I ever get any time to look at my own team.
I think the only thing with João Pedro is that I think you're putting an awful lot, or people are putting an awful lot on Brighton, because I know he's still young, so he's probably going to improve, but he only got 10 or 11 goals in the Championship last season. He's not a prolific goal scorer, and actually I think his goals in pre-season have come from penalties, so which is good for the McAllister-esque type points, but he's not like Ferguson. He's not going to, Ferguson's on the pitch. You'd expect he's going to, so I think the penalties might have swung people, and people have probably forgot that it's also. I think he looks a very, very good talent, and he will no doubt get better. But I don't expect. I just don't see. I don't think he'll haul massively. That's. I
think his price as well, though. At 5.5, he doesn't have to haul massively. If he can return, you're absolutely laughing because of what it does elsewhere in your midfield and.
But it doesn't do anything if you got 2.5 million in the bank, does it? Mm. That's the only.
Yeah. You always come up with that narrative that says, "Well, why don't you? It's not doing you any good if it's not invested on the pitch, is it? You might as well put it into someone decent."
I think though, home to Luton, I do think it's worth it, because then we're going to learn so much on the weekend. We're going to learn so much about so many things. You can then basically go from anyone to anyone, Rich, in game week 2, whereas the rest of us will be. Yeah. Not hamstrung, but we'll be limited in what we can. It'll be kind of like for like moves, whereas you can do anything, as you say. So.
But you might struggle to get Watkins for game week 2 though. If you could at home to Everton, that would be the.
He goes up by 0.1.
If it's a 0.1, that's the thing. Yeah. So that's why it might be good. I know we just talked about how much money you've got in the bank, but it might be worth saving on Gvardiol or one, because then. It gives you even more flexibility.
Get it up to 3. Just
that would be.
Then as you say, there's a chat.
You have 3 million in the bank.
So I might as well have Salah. I'll have Salah then.
Exactly.
I've done it. I've got that.
And you know what? If you're going to save 3.5 million, why don't we make it 4? Downgrade Onana. How much money can you get in the bank? That's the.
Oh look, you just play with 10 men. About 7 of your players down to the next bracket down.
With the interest rate, it might be the smart thing to do.
I think Jackson is going to be one we're all going to be looking at. I think there was an interview with Chilwell earlier today. I don't know if you guys saw it, and he said it's so nice to play with a number 9 that gets in behind. He's so quick, he's so sharp. It really changes the way that the Chelsea play, and I can see Jackson being a bit of a player and in everyone's team by game week 3.
So if I could get Jax, I'd go front 3 of Jackson, Haaland, Mubama. Just drop Mubama now and spend that 2.5 million, all of it on Jackson. Yeah, just literally go in with full belief that he's going to be the main man for Chelsea for the first 8 game weeks. But it does make you, I haven't even really seen him play.
I think if he's fit,
season minutes.
I think if he's fit, because of those fixtures in game week 3 and 4, if he's fit, it's going to be hard pressed not to have him unless he's garbage. Like I haven't seen a lot, but from what I have seen of him, he's looked absolutely superb. He is electric. He is so quick, and he's their only option really. I think he's going to be big. I think he's going to be good, and maybe those who go early, like I can see him scoring. Well, say him scoring. I can see them scoring against Liverpool on the weekend, and then is it away to West?
If I bought him right, for that 2.5 million extra, would you bench him or would you play him against Liverpool?
I'd play him.
I'd play him 100%.
What you bench João Pedro?
Oh, it's hard.
That's not-
Who'd you
Sure, I'd
bench?
have
I don't.
Pedro.
Exactly.
I think if you I think Fergie's absolutely right. I think if you go with Jackson, you either go
yeah.
4.5 million in midfield and ditch Matoma, or likewise with João Pedro.
Because the price
'Cause
point is so
otherwise-
awkward as well to get off him.
Well, exactly, and you're going to lose flexibility because you can have that 1 million where you may end up benching him, or you benching the wrong player this week, and you can have 1 million tied up, which you will no doubt want to put into your starting 11 because you might want to upgrade Maddison to whoever, or upgrade. I just think, yeah, that's you might want to go Maddison to Martinelli or Maddison to Odegaard or whatever it is. So
don't stretch it, is what you're saying. Don't.
I prefer Jackson to João Pedro without question. He's better minutes, better. Whether it's better team is debatable, but the fixtures, I think the Luton game make the fixtures look a lot better than they are. And I know everyone wants to get off to a flyer, but again, João Pedro could play 70 minutes. So 70 minutes versus, I think he'll get 90 v Liverpool, and they're not looking great defensively.
Yeah. Look at what the chat's saying about Jackson. Look at the
FPL father Ted says Jackson is well worth it, Rich. He's a proper talent. Play him. And FPL lover. Problem with Jackson is that he was with Nkunku. He looked superb. He's obviously created a lot of space for him. We don't know, and it is fair to say we don't know, but I think sometimes leap of faith.
Oh, actually, now you prompted a question for me, and Adam can answer this because there's a lot of chat today saying that I've never pronounced this right. Is it Chukwuemeka is going to play number 10 at Chelsea? So what's he like? I mean,
he's brilliant. He was incredible at Villa's academy. I mean, Christian Pers later called him the best 16-year-old in the country. So at the time, so he's brilliant. But I think since he's burst into the men's game, he hasn't quite got the goals and assists because he was at academy level. He was absolutely incredible. So I'm not sure. I think maybe he's a squad player. I'm not sure he's the answer for their starting 11. That's the thing that puts me off Jackson. So I would rather this is I think another positive for going Watkins, and actually all leaving the money in the bank like you're doing. I think and you've got to leave a little bit more than you need to cover price rises or the pressure of price rises. I've talked up Watkins. If Jackson looks electric for those fixtures from 3 to 6 or whatever, that are just incredible.
Yeah,
I think it's a really easy move. I know I'll be able to make that transfer. So yeah, I and actually have a little bit of money for potentially further upgrades. Yeah. So yeah, I think I prefer him to João Pedro.
Interesting. I'll look at it. I'll have a good look at it at 2:54 a.m.
Your team rating, Rich, 96% as well. 66 predicted points, 2.5 million in the bank. If you want to get your team rated, click on the second link below to get your team rated for free. Let us know in the chat what your team rating is and what your recommended transfers are. Let's have a look at your recommended transfers. Rich, Chilwell to Stones, very similar. Pedro to Jackson.
No, just Adam Hopcroft manning the sliders.
Pedro to Jackson.
And, 100% do that.
And Martinelli to Odegaard. They're the three changes that it suggests, which in all fairness are pretty good. You can't, hard to argue with those. But yeah, Pedro to Jackson. It's time to spend your money, Rich. Spend your money. That's
exactly. Do it, yeah. And therefore just leaves Mabama as the bench option. What, anyone know any better 4.5 striker options? I heard something. This is Osuna, is it?
There's a couple.
Sheffield United.
Osuna.
Possibly, yeah. He could be, but there's rumours if this goes through before the deadline,
I know what you're talking about.
Cameron Archer could be going to Sheffield United, and if it goes through, he is incredible. He'd be like, he would be. He's such a natural finisher that I think he'd be in most people's teams.
You think he'd start for them?
Yeah, 100%. I think if he's leaving Villa to go to Sheffield United, I think he'd be in the question to start. But he's a natural goal scorer. Problem with being understudy to Watkins, and Watkins plays in a certain way, he's just not going to get minutes because the guy's a machine.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he could be an option. I mean, there was also who was it? Trying to think who it is.
The other transfer. Balogun to West Ham. If
Balogun to West Ham,
happens,
but Monaco,
be massive.
but Monaco have, I think, are more likely there. So there's a couple, but I'm sticking with Mbumbu at the moment.
Good stuff. Let's have a look at my team. I'll get to going last. I've got like 3 ideas in mind, and I've changed my team just so I could see what would happen. I wish I'd stuck with my original one now, but anyway, I've had a Nana in basically all preseason. I've gone down to Pickford, but I'm the same as you. I'm not going to kind of dwell on it. I'm really, really unsure what to do, and obviously since I put this slide on, Turner's gone to Forest, so obviously Turner's going to be the second keeper. I'm really unsure on the key. I did a Nana to Pickford just to save the $500,000 for an upgrade, but I'm not sure basically on kind of what to get with the keeper, so I'm not going to dwell on that. In terms of my defensive midfield, I think you guys have convinced me to go Chilwell over Stones. So I did have Stones, Gabriel, and Estepinian, but I didn't realise he was on corners, and that for me is a massive, massive plus for Chilwell. So I think I'm going to go Chilwell. My first bench player, who I really like, who I don't want to leave out actually, is Udogie for Spurs. Even though Spurs' first couple of fixtures from a defensive view are quite tough, Brentford, Man United, after they go on a fantastic run, and Udogie looks to be a really good player and a starter at left back for Spurs. I think at $4.5 million, he's the one. So we've been talking about Colwell and maybe Henry and Botman and all this lot. I really like Udogie, and I think even if he doesn't come off as hoped, I don't think it matters. But he plays so high. He plays so high up the pitch as well. So I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on these first 2. I'm going to start with him on the bench. I think just because if it works out, great. I'm ahead of the pack on game week 3. If it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. But that's why I'm having him in there. I've got midfield at the moment: Rashford, Bruno, Saka, and Martinelli. So I put Richarlison in. Now I have had all week in here, and I couldn't get off him, Kai Havertz. And you may laugh. You're both grinning anyway, right? But just hear me out. I think he plays number 9 personally. Really, really good words from Arteta after Community Shield. Havertz played really well. He did exactly as kind of he expected him to. If you watched it as well, he had two good shots on target. The first one, Ortega pulled off a brilliant save, a really good save. And I think if he'd have scored one of those 2 chances, and I'm not saying if he'd have scored because he blazed them over or missed easy chances, they were 2 good shots on target and 2 good saves, especially the first one. If he'd have scored, I think he would be in a lot more teams now, and I think that's been missed personally. So I think he starts up front. If he doesn't start up front, I think he starts number 8. And this home to Forest fixture for me is fantastic, and it's a really good chance for Arsenal to get off to a great start. And win very comfortably 3-4-0 or even more, right? Or 1, say. So obviously when I had Havertz, I didn't have Gabriel. I can't remember who I had now, but I had Chilwell. So I put Richarlison in just to see what it would kind of look like. But I'm kind of thinking the same as you guys as well around. I don't think it's a crazy rush to get him in. I think I do prefer Maddison overall, regardless. Though I do think Richarlison will do well, in the number 9 role. I do like Maddison, so I think I prefer Maddison. But I think for game week 1 and for game week 3 potentially, I'm still might go for Havertz. Just as where I'm like. I could either have bloody Watkins and Mitoma or Havertz and Pedro. And I'm the Havertz and Pedro kind of player, just to look for that upside.
You're the guy in the Tour de France who starts trying to win it on his own after 100 yards, aren't you? Basically, he just goes out cycling up the road on his own while the peloton, all just sit there laughing.
Cycles the wrong way around the course.
Flipping heck, Adam, that's a bit strong. Anyway,
To be fair, Havertz did exactly what I expected him to do with those chances as well.
What? Smash them straight to the keeper. They were good
Yeah,
shots.
pretty
They were good
much.
shots.
Yeah.
There's
I
only
don't know.
Chelsea members in the chat there, who can remember how Havertz was for us last season. Then tell Fergie what you think.
What about
Havertz.
Fiolek says? He just simply says Havertz is crap, mate. you can't really argue. FPL Viola says avoid Havertz. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I think you should go for Havertz.
I'm not sure.
The game is about fun, and we will have fun watching you go for Havertz.
Definitely a violin moment. I've got the violin here. I need to. It's even this little case. Look, it's even this little. Dusting that off for next Thursday when Havertz gets a red card after 2 minutes or something. But, I think otherwise, it's just a bit, Mitoma and Watkins. So in this draft now, I've got Watkins. It allows me Watkins. But if I wanted Havertz, I could do Chilwell, Havertz, and João Pedro, and go back up to Onana and have a $500,000 in the bank or something. So
who's your 4.5? Have you got 4.5 striker?
Mubama.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I also, after all that chat, this is why I love this chat. I really thought of Jackson now as well.
Because it helps you sharpen your team up, doesn't it?
Well, it's just talking through it all. It kind of, you're not just thinking about yourself, or you're, So I really like definitely Chilwell. Chilwell will definitely be in my team come game week 1. I do like the. So
you're going to take Stones.
I'm taking Stones out, but I do also like that Gvardiol plan as well, Rich. So I may let the prices dictate which way I go in terms of, it's a lot. Well, I don't know if I can do it actually. I don't know if I can do it. Chilwell. No, I could do Estepinen. Maybe Gabriel. If I go for Havertz, I can't go for Gabriel. Chilwell. I do like Udogie, Gvardiol, and a 4 million. And then work out what that leaves me, and then help me decide what I do in midfield and attack. But we're all talking about the same players, really, aren't we? Maddison, Watkins, João Pedro, maybe Jackson. Anyway,
you're on Watkins as well, right? Okay.
I am at the moment, and it's more the game week 2 game, which I like rather than the game week 1. I was looking at it and going for Pedro, but then Watkins at home to Everton next week is a pretty exciting prospect. So I'm basically not set at all, really. But yeah, we'll see. I've got a team rating of 96% as well. So I think we all had 96% actually here. Nothing in the bank.
96% with Havertz.
This is not Havertz. This is Richarlison.
Oh, it's not Havertz.
This is Richarlison.
Oh,
but I'm not going for Richarlison now anyway.
What would you get with Havertz? You got like banned that to 87 or something?
No, I think it was a bit higher actually. He's actually predicted to score well. He's actually predicted to return in game week 1. So and this is the thing. He's the kind of player, if he plays in that 9 role, like he did when he played up front for Chelsea and they won 7-0, he didn't get any returns. Every other player, including the subs, got some kind of return. But I personally think he's a very good player, Havertz. You can, strike me down. I do think he's a good player. I do think he plays up front against Forest. He could do some damage, and that's it really. And then, you rise in price. You get a couple of good fixtures after it as well. Who've they got second? Away to Palace, home to Fulham. I don't know. We'll see. Jackson and Havertz in. We'll see. If you want your team rated, go to Fantasy Football Hub. The second link below, and get your team rated for free. Let us know in the chat what it is. And interestingly, when I go to my transfers, Richarlison out for Mitoma, Martinelli to Odegaard, and Pickford to Flecken. It actually thinks Flecken. So the 4.5 to 4.5 it actually prefers Flecken, just so you guys know, for Brentford. Obviously, they've got all those home games, haven't they? And Brentford last season performed quite well. Makes lots of save as well. Raya didn't he? So,
what do you think? What do you think the chances you'll be wild carding early?
Well, this is a decision I have to make in my own mind, right? So I'm in a lot of leagues this year. I want to get back to the ranks which I had a few years ago, because in the last 2 or 3 years, I think I've tried to go a bit different and it just hasn't worked out for me in any way. I think I've been quite unlucky because I've gone for good picks, I think, but they just haven't. I've gone for places like Son and Foden where they were really low owned, and I remember going for Foden for like 2 weeks. He looked awful, and then he got benched, so I took him out, and then he went back and scored like 2 goals and an assist or something. So, and the same with Son. I got on Son like mega early, but again too early almost. And this is the problem I always bloody have. I got on Almiron on game week 1 last year, took him out. I got on March too early, took him out before they actually scored their points. So I'm tempted.
Too far ahead of the curve. We always say this.
You're like that film Minority Report, aren't you? The pre-crime,
But then
you just get these players before they do any good.
I do, and then I take them out.
What's going to happen?
Alex is going to score a hat-trick game week 4.
Whoever you go for. Yeah, exactly.
We will. We'll see. So if I'm playing sensibly, it'd probably be like Watkins and Matoma, which I may end up doing. I'll see how I feel at like 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. But yeah, that is it really. And those are our teams up until now. Don't forget, you can read both mine and Rich's final team reveal tomorrow if you are a Fantasy Football Hub member. Just before we go, if you haven't already, you can get your own FPL team rated for free using the top link in the description below. Let us know your ratings in the comments for those who want a bit more, such as those recommended transfers we just showed you. So that will be every week. So every week it will look at your team and tell you your most optimal transfer according to Hub AI. But that is available to paying members. You also get Hopta Stats, points predictions, expert team reveals every single week, dedicated WhatsApp groups, and so much more if you sign up to one of our paid services. Currently has 50% off annual packages. And we're so confident in the product. If you don't win your specified mini league, we'll give you your money back at the end of the season. Terms and conditions apply. There's never been a better time to join the Hub, the very, very best fantasy football site. We also now have a Discord server. Link below, absolutely free. Thousands of people in there now. Come in and chat fantasy football all day, every day. Absolutely free. And that is it from us for this week. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in the chat. We broke our record, gents, for concurrent viewers. We had over 1,800 people watching at any one time, which smashes the previous record. Fabulous. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Absolutely brilliant. We love you being in the chat. It's our favourite time of the week. Thank you so much for everyone who watch it back and those listening on the podcast version. I'm going to edit out that bit where I changed the slides over. Adam, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people get hold of you?
On Twitter at Hopta Stats.
And you're not here for 2 weeks.
No, I'm not. It's holiday this time, so I'll unfortunately not here for the next 2 weeks.
Can't give you a ribbon next week. We can't get the violin out until September nearly.
You can do me an honorary violin if you want. I don't mind that in my absence.
Just so everyone knows, in Adam's absence, we have the fantastic big man Bakar is going to be joining us next week for Game Week 2 and Game Week 3. So make sure you don't miss that. Aidan Davies is my first time here. Loved it. Great content. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Aidan. Make sure you join us every single week. Rich, where can people get hold of you?
I'm on at Rich Clarke FPL on Twitter, and I've just got a special request. I'm trying to get to my my 10th 10k overnight. I need about 36 followers to get to 10,000.
Oh, really?
So if you can get me to my 10th 10k, that would be brilliant. And come and give me a follow. And I'm trying to be more active on Twitter these days and get out there more. So you'll get some free sound bites from me. Thanks a lot.
Make sure you follow Rich at Rich Clarke FPL. Simply the best fantasy football manager that has ever lived. This podcast and video will be in the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel with the podcast versions available on all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, please press the like button. We only got 200 likes and we've had something like 10,000 views. Please press like before you go. It'd be much appreciated. It really, really would. Remember to subscribe in the bottom right hand corner of the screen if you haven't already. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast versions and leave some comments. We will be back next week previewing Game Week 2 with a brilliant Bakar. In the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the football and may all your arrows be green. Good night all.